Coming to the Community Town Hall meeting. We are grateful you are here. It's still hard to hear, not enough volume. How's the volume now? Is that better? Okay, all right, it's a little echo. Maria is going to offer an opening prayer for us.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, great. So I just ground in this moment, and I know that as I hear the water and some of the rustling in the kitchen and the social hall, I just set aside everything in the last 30 minutes and return to that place of love, return to that place of possibility, that perfection, that unlimited abundance, all those great things that we talked about at service, and those spiritual truths. And I know that there is only one power. That power is love. It is perfection. It is joy. It is peace of mind. It is comfort. It is prosperity. It is limitless. It is everything and anything. And that power, that presence is imbued in each one of us, in everything that exists. It is the spiritual truth of this beautiful center, not only the place, but the community of all of us. And so I bless this time together. I bless all of the preparations for this meeting, knowing that those who prepared it were divinely guided. And I just allow this time to unfold, knowing that it is the perfect experience, the perfect milestone in the development of our spiritual lives and the development of this center. Knowing this is perfect, will you declare with me? And so it is.
Hello, everyone. I think probably all of you know me. I am Nancy Bowers. I am sorry, I feel like I'm going to cry. This is because this is me owning my mistakes. There were like a lot of little whispers in the community. A lot of you probably don't even know about this. Probably most of you don't care, but I need to own it because it seems to have caused an avalanche of events afterwards that did cause a lot of rumors and speculation and things within the community. So back in January, I had COVID. I stayed home for 2 weeks. I was sleeping most of that time, but I also had a job to do, so I was doing my job, and I'm sorry, I'm really nervous because I feel a certain amount of shame because I was told to put money that was collected for the wish list into the bank account while I was sick. And I didn't do it. And the reason I didn't do it, I don't know. I was sick. I wanted to get back to bed. I didn't want to go through Mark. Mark was bugging me, sending me little texts saying, did you do it? I knew that the money had to be back in the account for if I was going to meet payroll. And quite frankly, it was just easier to just do what I knew needed to be done. And so the money never got transferred. It wasn't like we weren't keeping track of it. It wasn't like anybody stole it, but it ended up being sort of a, I don't know, a thing that it probably should never have been. And it was all because I was sick, I had COVID, and I was doing my job from home. And I disobeyed a direct order because I thought I knew better. I'm going to own that, saying I thought I knew better because I knew that if we had to transfer it in, we'd have to go through the board and go through all the approval stuff and then get it transferred out. That ended up being kind of a big deal. and made me rethink my policy of it is better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Perhaps that will never happen in the future, yeah. Okay, I'll,
I'm saying literally, it's done,
right,
it's over. I appreciate you falling on your sword for this, but it was just a big mess. And it's not your fault, it's not anybody's fault. And I don't want you to do that anymore.
I appreciate that, Sue. And this is not, I just didn't appreciate people blaming Gil for something that was,
Exactly. There
was,
was a lot going on, and it was an excuse for people to vent things that they didn't have the balls, pardon my French, to come and talk to people to their face. And if we don't learn to do that in this place, there's something really wrong with us. And it's been on my mind since this whole mess happened. And, you know, I come from a world where you got a problem with me, I may snarl, but tell me.
yeah.
Don't run through the whole friggin' congregation and make a big deal out of it, because people don't confront issues, we're gonna fall apart, and we don't need to.
And this is our dragging it out into the light and looking at it, because it's
I appreciate
ridiculous
it,
when
but-
we have things behind the scenes that people are whispering about, when our whole thing is we want to be transparent. So, thank you.
Thank you for being brave and vulnerable.
Thank you, Nancy, for saying that. And I was right there with her with making it easy and simple. So the very next thing is there have been a variety of things that have happened. We have lost several board members, and I just wanted to clarify what happened. And whether or not you knew about it, it doesn't matter, and whether, we don't need to discuss it more. But if you did hear about it, I just want to give you the lowdown on what really was going on. So, there was a board meeting that was called. It was improperly called, all the people that were supposed to be notified were notified. There was a group of people who had an agenda, and thought that they had the only solution to our financial issues. And that ended up causing some other people on the board to feel pushed into a corner, created an issue. I went to those 3 people within 2 or 3 days of that meeting, once I found out about it. Sat down with them with a couple of practitioners and myself, and reviewed what they were really talking about, and found that there were some other issues underneath that were not being spoken and being said. And there was a clear statement that they could see no way to deal with what was going on in terms of our finances, except the one that they had suggested, which, by the way, was to terminate my contract. And I offered them the opportunity of looking at the possibility of having something come from somewhere you do not expect. Is it possible? And the answer was no. And so I just shared with them that my intention was to continue moving forward, to continue to talk about our vision, and to look at the ways we bring unity to the congregation. And if they were on board, that would be great. And within 48 hours of that meeting, we had 3 resignations. So, shortly, or right in there, our interim president, Sherry, who was in the midst of it all and kind of getting hit upside the head from all sides, she stepped down from president and from the board just because it was too much with all of her life and, partners with Sue and all the things going on, and she stepped back. So we lost another good board member. Shortly after that, or right around that time, I received word that Rev Deb was going to resign. And I'm not clear on all the stuff behind that. I suspect that it had a little bit to do with some of the money thing that happened, because it was, I think, related to her in ways that were not understandable, and it was not relayed by me. And the Unity congregation had to terminate their actual incorporation because they weren't functioning in that way. And with that, we terminated the memorandum of understanding that we had to merge together. So, if you're following me, what you're hearing is a whole lot of stuff hit the fan at the same time. And so, in the midst of that, what we've had to do is regroup. And also to know exactly what I talked about this morning, and that is, because we had things that didn't look the way we wanted to, we don't discount those things, we don't ignore them, we learn from them, and we figure out where we're going, and we continue to move forward, and that's what we're about today. So, with that, I'm going to introduce our current interim or regular, I don't know, our current board president, Cheryl Ray, who has graciously stepped in. And I'll let you know that between Cheryl Ray and Jennifer and myself, and then some temporary board members on a meeting-to-meeting basis, we have been functioning for the last couple of meetings. So, you are next.
Thank you. All right, so we obviously had to come up with some board members. We've got a couple of folks who have graciously stepped up, and I'll just tell you a little bit about. The first one has been active member of Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living for almost 3 years. He's been active in the New Thought movement since his introduction to Unity in 1991. He served on the board of a radically inclusive, non-denominational congregation in Austin, Texas for 9 years. And his philosophy around board leadership is about serving, not being in charge. He also believes that heart, not brains, must lead. And that an alignment with and cooperation are crucial to healthy congregation. And he's willing to serve as long as he's allowed. So we're really happy to have with us now Brian Kurtz. Thank you, Brian. I like having big people stand beside me and support me. I like it a lot. Okay, so we've got another one. So he's going to be class of, right now we're calling it 27, but we'll see how far that extends out and see where that goes. And for, as far as I understand, class of 25, we have someone who has received a master's degree from UNM in 2015 in organization. Key help there. In organization, information, and learning sciences. He's also received a bachelor's in secondary education with a major in history in 1974 from Rhode Island College. I'm not sure I want to go through that much school. He also has taken several Science of Mind certified classes, foundations at least 3 times, as well as all the classes that are prerequisites to the practitioner classes, such as mysticism, roots, personal mastery, as well as some non-certified classes from Science of Mind centers. During most of his career, he worked as a soldier in the work on poverty in the field of food stamps, welfare, income support, utility assistance, and Medicaid in several fields from caseworker to county director. He served as a board member on the Board of Trustees at High Desert Center for Spiritual Living for 6 years, 5 of those years as board president, And more recently, he served a 3-year term as a member for the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, right here. He's a believer in the power of transformational learning on both individual and organizational levels. He believes that a win-win agreement is only personal and professional agreement worth pursuing. He's a devotee of the principles of Kaizen, or constant and continual improvement, organizational learning, emotional intelligence, social capital, and appreciative inquiry. He believes the most powerful leadership is demonstrated through personal example. This is the gentle spirit, the gentle but wise Lou Similori. He's not able to be here today because he's sick.
He's online with us.
Oh, but he is online. Hi, Lou. Welcome, Lou. So right now we have to have a full board. These two awesome gentlemen have stepped up, and we have 2 or 3 more who are considering whether it's for their highest good and ours to be part of the board. And we're open to any other interested members. Let's see. The board members that you have right now are committed, completely committed to following the science of the CSL principles and to guiding our community to success. As we have to do this together. And that said, we need to know that there's going to be folks there's people out there that have skills, have talents, have background, have understanding, have drive, that are willing and interested in stepping up and being a part of that. And if you do, please speak up to one of us. Let's see.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so when you add the 2 that you just talked about, how many board members does that actually give you?
Right now? Well, 4 plus Gil.
Okay, and how many vacancies do you still have then?
So we have right now, what do we have? Yeah, we can have up to 9. So we've got up to 4 vacancies.
What do you need to have an active board? How many people do you have to be able to have a board that's making decisions?
I believe that number is 5 plus the pastor.
Yeah, I think so.
And you only have 4, so you can't do anything right now.
So what we have done in the interim is Kamatara and who else has stepped up? And Maria have stepped in as interim board members.
Okay, thank you.
So we're trying to keep it above board, and we are working actively to building this back to where it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great,
Okay.
great, good work.
And the other thing that we haven't done since I've been on it, and I don't know when it was last done, is looking at doing some serious training on what it really takes to be a board member, how to run the board, how to guide the rest of the community. And so we are looking actively at training. So know that we're not just gonna be making stuff up on the fly. That's just doesn't get us anywhere good.
May I speak to that for a second?
Okay.
So, as part of the delegation, okay. So, as part of the delegation to the national conference, March 12th and 13th, one of the things that came up there is some of the services provided by the national office include how to be a good board member for your congregation. So I have reached out to them, left messages, and hoping to hear back real soon on how do we access that information in that course. Just want to let you know.
So we are very actively working on being the best board and the best leaders that we can be. Are we perfect? Well, we're perfect, whole, and complete, and we're all learning, and we know that we have room to grow. We'll put it that way. One of the things that became really clear to me in doing this is that we have to be clear on who we are. We have to be clear. We've not been clear in this whole process of what was a merger. There was never clarity on who we were, and that may have been part of the issue. I don't know. But since that is officially dissolved, we have to question how to keep inclusive and maintain clarity in who we are. And in doing so, as Brian mentioned earlier, it's probably best if we just keep Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. We just keep that name. That's who we are authentically. And we need to continue with the vision of inclusiveness. So what we're leaning towards is a tagline to include with our name. The suggestion that is out there right now is pretty much covers a lot, is all faiths welcome, none required. And if somebody else has a thought or an idea that needs to be something different, then, speak up. But that feels really good to me. It feels really good to several of the others involved. Excuse me?
It feels rounded.
Right? Thank you. And so what we're looking at doing is also making sure that we keep in front of ourselves our vision statement and our mission statement. Does anybody remember the vision statement? Transforming our world with the power of love in action. All right. And the mission statement, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. For now, both are about oneness, and they clearly state who we are in the world. But we're open to modifying it as needed. We're not stuck, we're not in stone, but it works for now. So with that, I would like to move on to, let's see, I guess we get Nancy back.
I need slides from Jennifer because I don't have this information all by myself. I get the pleasure of talking to you about where we stand financially. So what I can tell you to begin with is let's rip off the Band-Aid, okay? We have a rent check that we have made out, but we haven't mailed it yet because at this point we are $6,770 short. I don't know how much we collected today. I don't know how much is going to go in from Breeze on Wednesday. I'm just letting you know where we are. We are current on everything. We are in integrity with our tithe to CSL, what we've committed to. We are paying back our SBA loan. All of our bills are current. Money that used to go through the bookstore that should never have gone through the bookstore because they are expenses for the center. That includes Zoom, Microsoft, Constant Contact, and Breeze. Those were all funds that were coming out of the bookstore fund that now come out of the general account. So even though we are still lagging behind, we are actually not that bad. For some people, they're not used to looking at these figures. I can't tell you how many times we've been in this position. A lot. I've been in the administrator coordinator for almost 2 years, and we juggle. That's what happened with the wish list, right? We juggle. It's like we borrow from Peter to pay Paul quite frequently. Would we like to be in a position where that doesn't happen? Absolutely. And I think that Jennifer is going to give you a slight overview of some of the things that the financial whatever has been. Anyway, these are our totals by year. Let me take this off. I can take this off, right? Yeah, that's much easier for me. Thank you. Okay, so we have records going back in Breeze since 2013. In 2013, we pulled in an annual amount of $144,000. 2014, 171, 15, 212, 256 and 17, no, 16, 263 in 2017. That was our highest that we've ever been. It went down the next year, went down to 245, almost 246, and then down to 236, 255. It went up. This is a year of COVID. See how this went up? That's because I wasn't in the office at that point, but I understand they were kind of smart in terms of getting money for doing renovations and stuff, and so I think there was a lot of grant money and things that were happening at that time. So it looks like we were really pulling it in during COVID. We weren't. And you can see that the next year, because in 2021, we were down to 162,000. That's quite a drop. In 2022, we went down to 138, almost 139. And then you can see, we brought Gil on board and we started climbing. We went up to 191 in 2023, and we went up to 213, almost 214 in 2024. So I'd like to make people aware of the fact that even though our rent is more expensive now, and we have to have things going on, we really need to rent out the office for Deb's old office. We do have a men's group that's coming in now once every other week. That'll help a little bit. But what we really need is another congregation or something. We are going to put an ad in the newsletter that basically says, hey, we've got space to rent. We take in a lot of our income from little rentals from, say, sacred end-of-life ceremonies and that sort of thing. So if you have friends that need a space, come here. It's a great energy. We really love it. I don't know if Jennifer did a slide for where things were going or not. Did you? No, okay. We do have a breakdown. We know when we do classes, for example, our income goes up. When we do retreats, our income goes up. It's really important not to count on the congregation's weekly giving to support the center. We need more than that. And we want to bring people in. That's what Solid Grounds is for. It's lovely. We love it. All right. I think it's time for me to turn this over to Jennifer. So I'm going to do that. Thank you for your time. I hope that brings some clarity to you.
So I'm here to talk to you about the Financial Prosperity Task Force. Before he left, our previous board president, Mark Ayers, created the Financial Prosperity Task Force. We were the group who brought you the last town hall on February 16th. So we came together for 6 meetings where we looked at our finances, we brainstormed about new ideas, and we did research on possibilities for our prosperity as a center. We formed a report fully of these recommendations, and we brought it to the board, who's going to be analyzing them and deciding how it can best help the center. That's part of the inspiration for the new upcoming spiritual economics class you probably saw in the newsletter and in the slides. And that's going to assist us in understanding our own abundance and trying to get this flowing. So we're in the planning stages for some of the other recommendations. So be on the lookout and keep your eyes on the newsletter. And I think I'm passing it back to Gil.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I just wanted to note, yes, can I say it? I believe Marilyn and Maria will be facilitating that spiritual economics class. So if you were afraid it was going to be me again, you're safe. So I'm very excited to have them doing that. It's very exciting. Is there anything else on our list? Questions? Space team, thank you. Okay, yes. So the space team, the previous leader of that is one of the ones who resigned. So that has been rudderless for the moment. And the board is in process of pulling it back together, and it will begin looking forward to how we continue forward and what it looks like in slightly less than a year now, when we either have to figure out another way to stay here or another place to go. So that's where that's at. And I think that is it for what we had planned for you today. And we are doing great time-wise.
Do they have questions that have not been answered?
Yes. Ask now, yes. Anybody have questions they feel like would help? Anything? New person question.
I just want to know, I heard some ways for the congregation to help and people to help, but how can I help individually?
Well, first of all, just your presence and your willingness to hold us in prayer and know the truth. We have opportunities to help, like some in the office, et cetera. We just brought on board our new volunteer coordinator, who is in the back there hiding, Carol Ann. And the idea behind that was a lot of people have said they want to help, but we've not been the best at figuring out how to incorporate them. And so with somebody who we can call and go, hey, we have this need, can you help get people in there? That's one of our hopes. And obviously, whatever we can give in terms of holding, knowing our own abundance and holding the congregation in abundance as well, that's super helpful, really helpful right now. Susan?
I just wanted to mention Compassion Ministries. I am the head of it. Okay, we give people rides to the center and rides to the hospital, or try to fulfill people's needs as needed, and I'm the contact person with that, and Suzanne Klump is the co-chair of that. So we do a lot of things for other people. I took Reverend Maggie for dental surgery the other day.
So in answer to Sherry's question, there's another place where you can connect to help out with what people's needs are in the congregation or outside the congregation. It depends on who's coming to you.
I can pass around a piece of paper where you could put your name and contact information. And if you would like to volunteer to help, then you can give it to Carol Ann as soon as this is over.
You making up forms.
The Cheryl's thing that you've already committed to online.
Yes, and that's one of the things we're going to work with is extracting information from the partnership campaign and utilizing it. And Carol Ann, actually, I think if she told me that Nancy had already bombarded her with a bunch of that information, so we're working in that direction to utilize that and to let people know that we appreciate their offers. So, all right. So I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for just being present. You have a question, Peter? No. Do you have a comment? Okay.
I'd just like to thank everybody that put this together for clearing up some things for us. I certainly have been hearing a lot of things, big things, little things, rumored things, all kinds of stuff for the past few weeks, and have been to and fro on everything, and wondering about this and wondering about that, and when am I going to hear the truth, and who knows the truth? Is there a truth? And I feel much better now. One thing that I would like to encourage, I know we've had to do what we had to do with the board, with bringing people on. We really should have a vote on things, just to stay with the bylaws, as I understand them.
I don't think you need them for board members to come in this way.
Really?
Yeah, technically.
We can do it at
Okay. We have kind of a history of not doing things by the bylaws and
Which makes it a good question.
yeah. Okay. All right.
What did Marilyn say?
So Marilyn was just commenting that, in fact, in the bylaws, the board has the ability to replace members when members leave the board midterm, which is what we're talking about here. And that and that those board members will be officially brought in terms of voting at the next annual meeting. So, which is next fall. Yes.
I came in a little harsh, and I apologize for that the last time, but I mean it. I grew up in a family where we had 11 people, aunts and uncles on my dad's side and on my mom's side too. And I said to my mom, what do we do? You know, because somebody was always pissing me off, to be honest with you. And she said, when you're in a family this big, you learn that there are big things and there are little things. And she was the original Don't Sweat the Small Stuff book. Secondly, is that transparency works two ways. And when there's an issue, it's better to raise it with somebody that can do something about it than those that can't. Because if you know from the world we're living in right now, it takes 2 seconds for a rumor to hit the road and pass around the country. And you can't fix it very easily. And I thank you guys for fixing it this morning as best you could. And, you know, it's some of the stuff is just baloney, you know, and it's not important in the whole scheme of things. But those that are people that run things like Gil and the board. They deserve our honesty back and our transparency back. And if we're too afraid to give it to them, it ain't gonna work. And if somebody comes to you and says, well, you know what I heard, then the point to make at that point is to let's get it to somebody that can do something about it before things go to hell in a handbasket. And there were times in this last couple months where we all kind of went, that's it. It's over. And then we said, no, it's not. And it wasn't me, but it was a collective feeling that went through it. And I just want to encourage everybody to be open with each other, to share with each other, and we're all in it together.
Thank you very much, Sue.
I wanted to say something about the whole family thing, Sue. That is just really very powerful because, I mean, I have a big family. And the only way we could operate as a family, which this is a family, was for everybody to step up and do their part. Everybody has to step up. Just like the beavers. This little beaver does, oh, that needs taken care of. And that little beaver says, oh, that needs taken care of. And they all go and do it. They don't ask for permission, and they don't ask whether they should, and they don't take it to a committee. They just get it done. We can do that. But the other thing that Sue said was taking it to the person, taking it to somebody who can. If you're not familiar with it, get on the website and go to the information about how we should communicate. Peaceful communication. Check it out. When I finally looked at it, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, we kind of all need that now, don't we? So just really take that to heart and consider looking at that. Thank you all for being willing to step up and be a part of this. Thank you.
I'm going to invite us all to stand up. And if you can or are okay with, well, you don't have to stand up. Okay. If you can take the hand of someone near you, I would encourage that. And just as we're standing feeling energy flow through the room, just know that this is spirit being itself. And that the beauty, the joy, the possibility, the love that you feel is palpable and it's here. So I'm grateful for each one in the room. I'm grateful for those online. I'm grateful for those who are always supporting, who are not here. And I'm just giving thanks. I give thanks for all those who have been supporting, for those who have chosen to leave. I bless them and make sure that there is love in all places and that people find exactly what they need so that they can be the people they're called to be. And so I bless this community. I give thanks for this board, for the progress we're making, and for all of you. And I just release this word and say, and so it is. Amen.